It's time for Lefties Losing It, and I regret to inform you that the world's unfunniest man, Jimmy Kimmel, is crying again. He's usually crying for himself and his imagined victimhood, but now he's deeply moved by leftist agitators being shot in Minneapolis. This is a man who did not shed a single tear for Laken Riley, Ruby Garcia, Rachel Marine, Kayla Hamilton. The list is tragically long. He didn't shed a tear for Charlie Kirk. Indeed, he used Charlie's murder to push lies, blaming MAGA for leftist violence. But now Jimmy is crying.
If our leaders are intentionally creating and encouraging violence and fear, then I hope you will also agree we need new leaders, because these are not leaders. And to the people of Minneapolis, to the Preddy family and the Good family, and these people who were looking out for their neighbors, we want you to know that we are with you and you are not alone.
The politicians intentionally creating and encouraging violence and fear are Democrats, Jimmy. You cannot be so dim that you don't understand that. You may support it, you may think it's for the greater good, but if you don't know who is whipping up hysteria and inciting violence in America in 2026, then you're beyond help. And sadly, more violence is inevitable. This is an insurrection, and some of these activists are not hiding their intentions.
Here's the thing that I need for protesters and everyone to start realizing, okay? We're at war. The protests are over. There's no more protesting. This is combat now. So when I come onto the field, I'm not screaming at people that are going to assault me or pepper spray me. Like, no, this is combat. I'm going to engage them in combat because we have that needs to be done. This is how we get shit done. Okay? We're not protesting anymore. We're fighting. You understand? Like, I need for you to stop with the signs. And I need for you to get shields and swords of the pew-pew kind. Like, I need for you to wake the up. We're at war. It's wartime. It's time to go to war.
These soy boys think they're in a war. This next nerd has added some cool maritime music to his performative little act. Pitiful.
When's the time?
All hands, hoist the colors.
After today. The song has been sung. It's time.
I mock, but we have to take these threats seriously. The Minneapolis-led uprising has seen the left getting those Summer of Love BLM vibes. Remember that violent uprising that caused $2 billion in damage across the country, saw around 24 people killed, many more assaulted and terrorised, all by leftist agitators that many in the media called peaceful protesters. And Antifa has been activated, including this dude.
My name is Kyle, I'm Antifa, and there's so much rage in me that I've had to record this like 15 times trying to get the message out. Okay? Show up, ready to go. Okay? Not talking about peaceful protests anymore. We're not talking about having polite conversations anymore.
Oh, we're not even going to pretend to be peaceful, Kyle. Surely you're not advocating for your Antifa buddies to come armed with guns?
Welcome to America 2026, where Second Amendment is the only thing that's going to keep you protected from literal Nazi gunmen that are killing innocent people in the street with impunity. This is not a joke. There's nothing fun to chant about it. Get your guns and stop these people.
Oh dear, that's the sort of talk that could see Kyle end up in Gitmo or somewhere similar. I prefer these Antifa agitators when they're pursuing their other passions. Kyle loves a dress up.
I do this all year, all the time. I'm out and about like this because I do it for me all year.
Yes, the great unhinging continues, and it's important to note it's not just random sad men and women attention seeking on social media, though it's mainly that. But some of these sad characters posting their breakdowns online are also given a platform on leftist media outlets like CNN. They have normalised and mainstreamed lunacy. Here is CNN regular Lee McGowan.
The United States Senate is voting on ICE's funding next week, and this is a group that does not deserve to be funded. Any senator who votes to continue to pay for this mob of unhinged murderers is out of their mind, because this cannot be retrained. This has to be stopped. So if you are a U.S. senator right now, do not write a tweet. Do not write a tweet. Write a bill. Write a bill that abolishes this heinous department.
Yep, that woman is given a platform on CNN where she spews her crazy delusions, conspiracy theories, and unless Scott Jennings is around, they pretty much go unchecked.
ICE agents have been known to kill people because people are disappearing in custody, because we're missing 1,200 people in Alligator Alcatraz.
This is the political vigilantism.
This is not political vigilantism.
You're encouraging people to interfere with federal law enforcement.
I'm saying that we need to get it on tape because the DHS is lying, because ICE is lying, and because people are getting hurt and they're disappearing.
And good news, early today, the Timu Rachel Maddow was back in her kitchen posting more crazy rants for her followers, who you know are going to be your quintessential awfuls, the affluent white female leftists, often with serious mental health issues. Here, Lee encourages these troubled souls to be even more hateful, more insular, more miserable by ostracising any family members, friends, even clients that support President Trump.
The time has come to ostracize them. It's time to shun these people, to make MAGA pariahs in our society. Do not welcome them into your home. Do not have them in your restaurant. Ask people what their political persuasion is as they enter your store or your office. Don't make small talk with them at work. Fire clients, silence text chains. There should be no room or time or place in a civilized society for psychopaths and their enablers. These people are traitors to our country, to our Constitution, to our rule of law, and they should be treated as such. I know this is hard. I know it's sad. I know a lot of people are going to say, I can't believe you're going to let politics come between us. But we have to remind ourselves this isn't about politics. It's about morality and civility and reality.
Morality, civility, and reality. Honey, you have no grasp of those words. You exist in a parallel universe where your truth trumps the truth, you know, the real truth, the facts. These people have just become so used to rationalising and justifying the most horrendous behaviour. They can't talk about civility. The left abandoned civility decades ago. Joining me now is RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair CJ Pearson. CJ, tell me about the reaction to the shooting of this leftist agitator, Alex Pretty. There is an investigation into the fatal shooting. We'll hopefully have a clearer picture soon of what really happened. But what we already know is that these are not just peaceful protests in Minnesota. They're actively obstructing law enforcement. It's organised and often it's violent.
You know, they indeed are. And I think I'm going to follow the lead of the president when I say that I think we need to allow this investigation to unfold before answers or conclusions are jumped to in any way whatsoever. But I think it's important for us to realize that at the end of the day, when it comes to protests, we respect that as a country. But what we do not respect and what we do not allow are for people to blatantly come into, these violent, conglomerates of folks and then brandish weapons or have them on their person. It's just not smart. And so what remains to be seen what exactly will come from this. But I think that what we will see is that this has all been a result of the violent rhetoric that's been spewed by folks on the left who are actively encouraging their followers to do ICE officers harm. I stand with our boys in blue, our men and women in blue as well, who are defending our country, defending our sovereignty, and simply ensuring that we actually enforce the immigration laws on the book. That should not be controversial. What should be controversial are these left-wing activists who are actively encouraging assault and violent crimes against our men and women in law enforcement.
It's an insurrection is what it is. It's clearly that, and it's curious that it's happening in Minnesota when we've got ICE operating across the country, but it's in this blue state that has been revealed to be a hotbed of fraud. And now we are seeing these violent protests and obstruction of law enforcement. CJ, we're also learning more about this particular activist's actions. Let's listen to this report from CNN.
Alex Preddy had a physical encounter with federal agents about a week before he was shot and killed by law enforcement. Sources tell CNN that Preddy broke a rib when a group of federal officers tackled him while he was protesting.
So, CJ, he was in a violent clash with federal agents a week before he was shot dead, and he goes back for more with a loaded gun and extra ammo. I mean, these are questions, like you said, we're going to have an investigation, but it seems most of the media, most of the people having meltdowns online aren't even reflecting on those facts.
Not at all. Usually when someone F's around and finds out, it only takes one time. He had to go back for a second helping. It actually is a little bit confusing to me, right, when you look at the facts of this case. But I think that, the revelations that we're already beginning to see just days after this, of course, again, tragic incident will only begin to double and multiply. And I think that the left will have a hard time defending what exactly we saw happen in this instance. I think they're looking to move on from this very quickly. I think they're looking to, pounce on this issue as a way to demonize our law enforcement officers as they have throughout this entire ordeal. We cannot let them. And I think that, again, it goes back to the fact that the president has a resounding mandate that was given to him just last year, or in 2024, when he was resounding and reelected, that said we would be conducting mass deportations. This is not radical. This is exactly what the American people voted for, and we ought to give them that.
Staying with the media coverage of this issue, Alex Preddy's image has been digitally altered by some media outlets to make him appear better looking. This isn't just fake news, CJ. It's insulting, I would argue, to the dead. And no surprise, MSNBC are among media outlets who have used this fake image.
You're right. It's exactly performative. It's all fake, but it goes to show just how desperate the left is to try to rob this narrative that the president is doing something that is, not in the best interests of the American people. The president and his allies and folks in the administration are working tirelessly every single day to keep Americans safe. They want to talk about folks like him. Let's talk about folks like Laken Riley. They don't want to have that conversation, because here's the deal. Laken Riley was a nurse as well, who was tackled and mauled in the woods by an illegal alien who had no business being in this country in any way whatsoever. They want to talk about nurses. Let's talk about that nurse. Because when I said that we should never again have a Laken Riley, that was not conjecture from me. That was not a slogan. That was not some political saying. I meant that. The president meant that. His allies meant that. And we will not allow some left-wing rabble-rousers to distract us from that mission of keeping the American people safe.
Well, talking about left-wing rabble-rousers, let's hear from the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, doing all he can to lower the temperature. Of course, I jest.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now.
I don't even know what to say to that. CJ, what's your response to that sort of rhetoric from Governor Walz?
I've never met someone more low IQ than Tampon Tim there. When I hear him speak about this issue, it's so divorced from reality that I'm just kind of confused if we're watching the same situation here. Minnesota children are scared to go outside. Well, if they're scared to go outside because ICE is outside, that's probably because they're an illegal alien. Do you think I'm scared to go outside? No, because I was born in Georgia, a U.S. state. And so here's the thing. ICE is going after criminal illegal aliens, some of the worst, rapists, murderers, people, assaulters, all of those things. And so, no, if you're scared to go outside because ICE is outside, then that's actually kind of the point. So we're not going to apologize for that.
Now, some businesses in Minneapolis are boarding up their shops they are ready for more violence from these so-called protesters, so-called peaceful protesters from as segments of the media call them, CJ. President Trump has sent border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota. Tell me more about that.
You know, Tom Homan is the consummate professional. He's someone that has been well regarded, not just on the right, but also on the left. It was President Obama who gave him an award for his service in helping aid the deportation operations during his administration. And so I think that, you know, if there's anyone that these folks will like to pretend that they're working with, it will probably be Tom Homan. And I think that he's going to bring a lot of order on the ground, a lot of professionalism to it. And so I'm excited to see this development. But I think that what's important to note is that we cannot let up. We cannot give in. That's exactly what they want us to do. Again, we have a mandate. We must act on it to keep the American people safe and to keep our country intact in terms of our sovereignty, in terms of our border, and the operations that folks are leading at DHS. Folks like Tom Homan is a critical linchpin in all of that.
You made an interesting point there. Tom Homan, these days, the left treat him like, as they treat every conservative or anyone on the Trump administration, as some fascist. But he was being awarded medals by Barack Obama for his service, doing a very similar role to what he's doing right now. And whilst he was doing it for the Obama administration, he was a hero in the eyes of the media. But now he is being smeared in the most ridiculous fashion.
You know, you're exactly right. It reminds me a lot of the way in which, you know, a lot of these leftist organizations treat President Trump. When he was just a celebrity or a reality TV star or a billionaire businessman, the NAACP was giving him awards alongside Rosa Parks. And all of a sudden, when he ran for president, he was, you know, a vowed white supremacist, Ku Klux Klansman in name only. It's absolutely insane, but it goes to show these people actually don't really care about the truth. They don't care about facts. They'll call you a racist just because it's convenient, not because it's true.
Now, before you go, CJ, there's no doubt that ICE's public image is taking a battering because this sort of coverage is relentless. But there are polls out, and another one came out yesterday showing that the majority of Americans support the Trump administration's deportation of illegal immigrants. I suspect the real figure there is considerably higher, CJ, but according to this latest poll, 52% against 42% who are opposed support illegal immigrants being deported.
Yeah, you know, it's a clear majority. And, you know, historically, we've seen polls, you know, underrepresent the president and his supporters. And so I think that number actually is a lot higher than you would imagine. And so, again, I think that the president needs to march on and continue to do the work that he pledged to do when he was running for president, which was to bring law and order and to secure our southern border. Under President Joe Biden, we had no border. Under President Trump, we have a border that is safe and secure. That's exactly what the American people voted for. And I'm glad to see it.
CJ Pearson, thank you so much for your time.
Good to see you, my friend.